With regard to, and the only other allegations in the RICO indictment involve lyrics for some of his songs, some of which are some of the most internationally famous songs right now. Top songs on Billboard, #1 albums in the country, and the prosecution has indicted him, alleging those lyrics as being part of the reasons why he's guilty of a RICO offense.
Sauerkraut, waterfall, olive, bow wow, call, tau, pow, southside, outside, pow, outline, missile, thought, fire, bounce, higher, powers out now. I was outside, now my power, pow, now. Eyes wide, should've speak utterly, upside down, camera obscura, power down, scuba, mama in Cuba, my it sounds good now. Out and about, title bout, bow, how loud, high, loud, Mutai, Aztec, forearm, NASDAQ, abstract, frackle, rockin', chow down, hazmat to do some diametrically outbound. Matter of fact, pass that ginger pop in the cooler than the medulla of Rick the ruler. Hula hooping with new bow downs from Nuba. That's that life of a king. Got my crown now, feeling accomplished. Super looper fresh chocolate, collectible conscious. Young crunk in your town now. Via minor aircraft, snapping like a bear trap. Tijuana Air Max, chainmail gauntlet. Big Bertha earthquakes, 100 dB, 90 BPM, heavy hitting them triplets, 100-sided dice, rolling 79 twice. Get ready, we bringing the jazz back with the rhythm, we're giving them sentiments. Some Midwest liquid mission, tricky mixing, mixing, matching, scratching, rapping, action, Jackson making it happen, pap it, midi, patch it, map it with a pinch of magic, casting master sentences. With a gang of wicked vixens listening close to us, flipping different widgets, mystic digits, coast to coast, pole to pole, folding time, golden time. Overload on.
New developments just into the 11 Alive newsroom about the gang indictment involving rappers Young Thug and Gunna.
Ariana Maniz is in the studio with the details we learned less than 20 minutes ago.
Sure, Aisha, we just learned from Fulton County jail records that rapper Gunna has been arrested. Now the records, they show Sergio Kitchens was booked sometime in the last few hours on a RICO charge. Now, Kitchens is one of the 28 people named in the massive gang indictment, which claims he is an associate of Young Slime Live. Now, right now, we know he could have his first court appearance before a judge this morning. Now, this comes after the Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis says Jeffrey Williams, also known as Young Thug, is allegedly tied to YSL. Now, Willis says the gang is connected to crimes dating all the way back to 2013. Among them include murder and armed robbery. Now, the indictment claims Young Thug is one of the founders of the gang that's tied to the National Blood Gang. Right now, Williams is facing 2 charges for participating in criminal street gang activity and conspiring to violate the racketeering law. The DA says that we can expect more indictments against other gangs. Take a listen.
They are committing conservatively 75 to 80% of all of the violent crime that we are seeing within our community. And so they have to be rooted out of our community. I said just a week or 2 ago, it does not matter what your notoriety is, what your fame is. If you come to Fulton County, Georgia, and you commit crimes, and certainly if those crimes are in furtherance of a street gang, that you are going to become a target and a focus of this district attorney's office, and we are going to prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law.
Meanwhile, Young Thug's attorney maintains Thug's rap label is not a street gang. The rapper's attorneys, they filed a motion requesting an expeditious hearing for a judge to consider giving the rapper bond. Back to you.
All right, Ariana, so one charge Young Thug is facing is a RICO charge. Gunna facing that same charge too, 1 count. It stands for Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations. It all started out as a federal law, mainly targeting the mafia, but now almost all states, including Georgia, have adopted similar state RICO laws. It focuses on organized crime and only requires the state to prove that some group of people are committing a pattern of crimes. This is a story that you see is still developing.
All right, this lecture is about Gunna. This lecture is about Gunna being caught up in the RICO charges, and this is specifically about his lawyer today. His lawyer was trying to get him off by saying, oh, he's famous, his stuff is being played around the world. I'm gonna play the excerpt. But yeah, so his lawyer was trying to get him out of these RICO charges and get him bond by, trying to just say like, hey, he's rich and famous, and he has no felonies, he's got a clean record, even though he's rapping about killing people with his real gang that just got caught in RICO charges. He's like, oh, he's got #1 hits. So he was trying to use like the Jay-Z thing, like, oh, #1 hits, and let's strike the fact that he's part of a organized crime syndicate. So this is about Gunna for everybody that's just coming in the room.
With regard to, and the only other allegations in the RICO indictment involve lyrics for some of his songs, some of which are some of the most internationally famous songs right now. Top songs on Billboard, #1 albums in the country, and the prosecution has indicted him, alleging those lyrics as being part of the reasons why he's guilty of a RICO offense.
Young Thug Slime Gang just got taken down, and we're celebrating that victory here in Atlanta. The Young Slime Life just got taken down, that whole blood sect, and they've are a danger to the community, and Gunna turned himself in, but his lawyer was just trying to get him out on the fact that he's got #1 hits and that he's famous and his music's played all around the world. He was using that as a defense, which is just totally asinine, So, shout out to the district attorney that took down the whole Slime Life. We've here at TTM Academy and the United Turntablist Guild, we've been pushing for the violence to stop, for the gangs to be eliminated from hip hop, from urban radio, from black entertainment. Even Leo Cohen needs to get the gangs off of YouTube. You know what I'm saying? It's like, the feds really need to have a talk with Leor, because they literally have real guns. They're getting kids all around the country shot. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, these gangs need to stop. So, once again, shout out to all the people that came together and took down Young Thug's gang and Young Slime Life, because, even before the RICO charges happened, I just had that lecture at the place where his baby's mother Miss Jackson was murdered, you know what I'm saying? Lakevia Jackson. And, it's just too much in Atlanta. There's just violence and it's escalating. They're saying just like the homicide rate, all these things. The DA is a very important thing. She was saying that 75 to 80% of all crime in Atlanta is gang based. You know what I'm saying? So it's clear that these gangs are a huge problem, and if up to 80% of all crime in Atlanta is because of gangs, and if all the gangs are, trying to be down with people that are on the radio that are part of bigger gangs, then clearly, the radio stations and the labels are next, as far as getting restrictions on, signing these people, because it's like we don't see Timothy McVeigh being signed, we don't see El Chapo dropping albums, you know what I'm saying, and getting signed by Interscope Records. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure they would love to, but there'd be an outcry if they did it. But in the black community, it's like an elephant in the room. So finally, the Atlanta police are cracking down, And you know, a lot of other cities aren't cracking down, you know. But you know, in Atlanta here, this is a black-run city. Even though it's starting to get a lot of gentrification, it's still, you know, run by black people, continuous black mayors. You know what I'm saying? And you know, council people. And you know, once you step outside of Atlanta, it's different. But inside of Atlanta, it's a, you know, it's a black-run city. So yeah, so you know, ain't no playing GA, like Pastor Troy said. You know, shout out to Mark Mora. You know what I'm saying? You know, things are changing. You know, we're celebrating out here in Atlanta. So you know, they got Nature Boy too. You know what I'm saying? I've been talking about that, and now they just got Rashad Jamal. I'm gonna do a whole nother lecture on Rashad Jamal. This lecture is just about Gunna and how his lawyer is literally doing the stupidest thing of trying to get him out of RICO charges, or at least get him bond for you know, just because he's famous, you know, and giving him the benefit of the doubt, like, hey, he's got no felonies, except that time him and his homies had that unregistered gun. And you know, but you know, and the fact that he's rapping about, you know, killing people on records and taking out his ops, and they really are a real gang, and they really do take people out, and they all conspired to have what you call, I forgot his name, to have this guy shanked in prison. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the charges. You know, we'll read through the whole complaint in a future video. But yeah, so yeah, that's it. So you know, that's just a silly thing that his lawyer's trying to do. But yeah, so we're gonna be doing two new lectures coming up. A lecture on Rashad Jamal, who also got denied bond. You know, little Dirk, all the, you know, RICO charged people in Young Slime Life got denied bond. Nature Boy got denied bond, and this is all happening within the same couple of weeks here in Atlanta. And you know, things are, you know, there's a lot of cults in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? You know, a lot of rap cults, and you know, the Crips and Bloods are also a cult. You know, because it's like, whether it's a cult or a gang, you know what I'm saying? Like Elron, you know, that's a cult. It's a gang. You know what I'm saying? And you know, gangs are a problem in the U.S., and we need, you know, the authorities, and even, you know, federal and statewide, you know, so these RICO charges were against the Young Slime Life were statewide RICO charges. They weren't federal. But you know, I would argue that, you know, there needs to be, like I've been saying, there needs to be federal charges that span all the way into, you know, Cardi B and Nicki Minaj. You know, it's like she just married a Blood who did the same thing that Rashad Jamal's in jail for, and I'm not even going to talk about that in this lecture. It's so heinous. But yeah, so you know, you know, there's a new shift happening. You know, all the gangster stuff and the gangster hotep, everybody's getting locked up, and I think that's a good thing, to take, you know, these crazy people out the community. And yeah, so peace. So I'm gonna drop some other lectures tonight. You know, we're gonna do a lecture on also on Natik, not Netic, rest in peace Netic, but Natik, the DJ, the turntablist. Natik, he's lost his hearing. He's got tinnitus, and you know, so he's not going to be able to you know, DJ anymore at clubs. But I'm gonna, you know, read through his transcription and all that. But that's another thing. But yeah, you're right, Mark. Demon time. You know, the demons are finally getting collected by Ghostbusters. You know what I'm saying? I'm all down with the whole Ghostbusters movement, and you know, stopping the ghosts, stopping the demons. You know, you're right, exactly. This is the end of the demon time. You know, so shout out to all the people that have, you know, come together to put these demons away, because, you know, it really is affecting people. You know what I'm saying? Like, it affects everybody in Atlanta and everybody, you know, worldwide in the country. You know, these are, you know, international gangs, you know, and national gangs, mostly national, obviously. A lot of times they're not doing things internationally, but they do things internationally, especially when they're, you know, people are being trafficked and stuff across borders. Even Rick Ross was trafficking. You know, he got arrested for trafficking, and it's like he's still on TV. You know, it's like Reebok dropped him because of his, you know, song that was with the R word. You know, he was a pro R word song, the one She Never Knew It, right, where he drugs a woman and he knows her, you know, in the R word, and does the R word, and it was a hit on the radio, you know, and you know, these people are awarded, like, you know, I'm gonna do a lecture soon on K Slay, being a victim of, you know, K Slay's crew. I just actually had a recent death threat from somebody from K-Slave's crew. He actually threatened me and my child on a live video. But yeah, so it's just too much violence. All this demon time stuff has to end. And I was just when that guy threatened me and my son's life, I actually was kind of predicting. I was like, yo, all this gangster stuff, all this Bloods, Crip stuff, because he was affiliated too. I'm like, yo, all that stuff's about to get cracked down on, because there's too much of an elephant in the room. We got too many intelligent DAs and lawyers and people like that. People aren't stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's gone on too long. They've gone for decades and decades. But obviously it's about to be over. You know what I'm saying? The party's over. Demon time's over. You know what I'm saying? People, things are changing. All right, peace.
You want your...
Good morning, Mr. Kitchens. My name is Judge Wolf. We're going to go on the record now. This is our first appearance warrant calendar, position 14. The indictment number is 22 SC 182273 of the state versus Sergio G. Kitchens. And Mr. Kitchens, again, I'm Judge Wolf. This is a calendar to let you know what's going on with your case. There are a few issues that we might take up. I want to remind you that you're presumed innocent. You have the right to remain silent, and you have a right to a lawyer. Your lawyer, Mr. Samuel, as well as Mr. Garland, they're on the call. We're doing all this remotely because of COVID. So we also have the prosecutor on the case, Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith, if I could begin with you, sir. From the state's perspective, this is a little bit different because the case has been indicted. What is the state asking the court to do, if anything, today?
The state's position is that because this is a direct indictment, jurisdiction will lie with the Superior Court Judge, the Honorable Judge Glanville, I believe has been assigned to this case.
Okay, and I did see that on Odyssey. It looks like Judge Glanville, who is an elected Superior Court judge, was assigned the case. So, Mr. Smith, is it your position that probable cause has been established by the indictment?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay, and the other issue that often comes up with these first appearance calendars is bond. And so do I understand you that you're asking Judge Glanville to take up any bond issues?
Yes, Judge.
Okay. Let me hear from Mr. Samuel on both issues, the PC and the bond. Anything you would like to add, sir?
Your Honor, there's nothing to add on the probable cause. Obviously, the indictment's been returned, so we can't challenge the probable cause. We do believe that you have concurrent jurisdiction to consider bond. This is a case in which Mr. Kitchens is, I'm sure you haven't had time to read through the indictment in this case, but the allegations, just reading the indictment itself and nothing more, it is so clear that he is entitled to bond. There are, in essence, two traffic offenses, not trafficking, but motor vehicle traffic offenses that are alleged. I represented him in one of those cases, and he was found guilty of a window tint violation. That's the RICO allegation with regard to 4 or 5 of the paragraphs of the RICO indictment. The other one claims that he was speeding and got a speeding ticket. Actually wasn't even the driver. And someone in another car had a gun. With regard to, and the only other allegations in the RICO indictment involve lyrics for some of his songs, some of which are some of the most internationally famous songs right now. Top songs on Billboard, #1 albums in the country, and the prosecution has indicted him, alleging those lyrics as being part of the reasons why he's guilty of a RICO offense. He voluntarily surrendered yesterday. He wasn't picked up. We called the sheriff, said, we're coming down. We know the indictment was just returned. I talked to the DA, Mr. Geary, told him we were coming down. Nobody had to go pick him up. He poses no risk of flight at all. He's been born and raised in Georgia, been here his whole time. His mother is sitting across the table from me here in my office. And he has no felony convictions of any kind. We are sitting here in jail at this point on a RICO allegation involving 2 motor vehicle offenses plus lyrics. And that is it, Your Honor. And they have to wait for however many weeks it's going to take to get on a calendar with Judge Glanville, on a 26 defendants in this case. And You know, I think you have concurrent jurisdiction. I've had plenty of cases where magistrates have set bond in cases. This isn't a case in which the magistrate lacks jurisdiction to set bonds, not one of the 7 deadly sins.
May I ask a question? And I apologize for cutting off Mr. Samuel.
That's okay.
I want to just deal with that threshold question first. The court does tend to agree with some of what you said, that this isn't one of those offenses where bond would only go to a Superior Court judge. Correct. There is concurrent jurisdiction on the bond.
Whose screen you want?
But I do want to hear from
Full
Mr.
screen,
Smith
yeah.
from the state.
Whose screen
Is
do you
there,
want to be
Whoever's talking. Yeah.
you're saying that you would rather Judge Glanville hear the bond, correct?
Judge, what I'm saying is that this case has been indicted, and this has already been assigned to Glanville. So I believe jurisdiction lies with Judge Glanville.
And so do you have any legal authority at this point to say that the court does or does not have authority to consider bond today?
I can pull it for you, Judge. But again, with it already being assigned, I believe it's the jurisdiction with the Superior Court. But I can get that for you.
And has there, Mr. Samuel, I appreciate that. Mr. Samuel suggests that there's no court date scheduled before Judge Glanville. You might have said this earlier, but when was it indicted?
Indicted.
The 9th, Your Honor.
The 9th, Your Honor.
Okay, 2 days ago. Okay. And do you agree, Mr. Smith, that the indictment issue notwithstanding, that based on the charge that Mr. Kitchens was indicted for, that the magistrate court would have authority to set bond on that charge? You're just saying because the case has been indicted, it needs to go to Judge Glanville.
And it has been assigned to Judge Glanville.
Right. And is there any word from Judge Glanville's office that they want to handle this and that they don't want this court to hear the bond issue?
Not that I'm aware of at this time, Judge.
Okay.
We're
And
not aware of that either, Your Honor, just so you know.
okay. And so, I just want to make sure, Mr. Smith and Mr. Samuel, that the court starts with the premise that I don't have authority to do anything in particular unless the law expressly allows the court to do it. And I'm just a little concerned, Mr. Smith, where you say, and I respect your position, that because the case has been indicted and assigned to Judge Glanville, that would remove jurisdiction. And you said that there's authority for that. I can do one of two things. I can either just say, in the court's discretion, I'll move it on to Judge Glanville and let him hear bond. But the court is a little bit concerned that there's no court date scheduled for that. Or I would need some kind of authority from the state indicating, or some indication from Judge Glanville's office that they would prefer to handle the bond issue. It is a conspiracy to violate RICO charge. It's one count. So what's the state's position on that? Do you have any authority for the court?
Just, may I have a brief moment, Judge?
Yes, of course. And I don't want to rush you. I don't want to rush either side.
I just want to get the relevant authority for you to show that it's within the jurisdiction of the Superior Court.
Oh, thank you.
And Mr. Smith, you can check your email. I sent you a copy of the delegating order.
And for everybody here for the 11:30 calendar, we'll get started soon. I appreciate everybody's patience. We'll resolve this case one way or the other in the next several minutes.
Your Honor, I just want to clarify that which case are we dealing with right now?
It's position 14 on the first appearance warrant calendar. It's 22 SC 182273.
Thank you.
Yes. And good morning to you, Ms. Mackey.
Good morning, Your Honor.
looking at 2021 EX001071, an order delegating the setting of bail. It was filed June 11th, 2021. And it does give this schedule. It's signed by Judge Brasher as the Chief Judge of the Superior Court of Fulton County, Atlanta Judicial Circuit. One of the things that it says is that the judges of the Superior Court of Fulton County, Atlanta Judicial Circuit hereby order and authorize the delegation of the authority to set bonds to magistrate and state courts. And I want to say to you, Mr. Kitchens, I'm a magistrate court judge. The delegation of the authority to set bonds to magistrate and state court judges for a period of 1 year, so we're still under that year, pursuant to OCGA 176(1)H, under the following conditions. And we've already mentioned that there are certain charges not before the court today, not delegated for any case, regardless of the charges involved, that has been indicted and assigned to the docket of a Superior Court judge. So I do want to hear from Mr. Samuel. You were talking about Rule 26.1. I want to give both sides ample opportunity to argue this issue. The court is sensitive to any defendant in jail without bond, but I also must follow and respectfully follow Judge Brasher's order, as well as the laws and constitution of our state. So with that, Mr. Samuel, we can get you a copy of that delegating order, but it seems to speak directly to this situation.
It does. I don't have a copy of the delegating order. I still maintain that you have concurrent jurisdiction both by statute and by the uniform rules. And I'm not sure that Judge Brasher necessarily was absolutely depriving you of the ability to do it, because there's plenty of cases where magistrates do it. We have no word from Judge Glanville saying that, you know, with a 26 defendant case, he's gonna, you know, suspend everything else, the important matters that he has, and deprive the magistrate of, you know, your expertise to grant bonds. And especially, as I said, in a case like this where, you know, the defendant's in custody, he turns himself in, voluntarily surrenders, there's no allegations of violence, there's no allegations of flight, no allegations of any danger to the community. And, you know, Judge Glanville, for all we know, is gonna, you know, set this down for a hearing sometime in June or July, because it's just a 26 defendant case. And I think that, you know, given your authority, let the prosecution appeal if they want to appeal the granting of bond in this case. They have the authority to appeal, and see if you know, Judge Glanville, he may very well welcome having you give him assistance. You know, we all trust you, Judge Wolf. You've been around longer than, not everybody, but most people. And so we think you ought to hear from us on bond.
Okay, well, I will dispute two things you said about any expertise I have, and also that I could help Judge Glanville in any way. He does a fine job and doesn't need my help. I just take the reading of that order from Judge Brasher. It's something that I apply regularly when I handle these calendars, and I'm not going to make an exception today. So respectfully, all those bond issues are absolutely relevant, Mr. Kitchens, but they need to be taken up before Judge Glanville, because he was assigned the indicted case. If you were just in front of me, like a lot of other people on this calendar, unindicted, then absolutely I would consider bond. But I don't have the authority to do it today. So any other issues need to go before Judge Glanville. And so with that, is there, Mr. Samuel, anything else for the defense that I can say or address?
The only thing I can say, Your Honor, is that we will contact Judge Glanville's office. We've been trying to reach over there today, and see if he will authorize you to consider bond, and hopefully we can get back before you, maybe not later today, but within a day or so, to see if he will authorize you to do it, notwithstanding Judge Brasher's standing order.
And I appreciate that. The court's always here to serve everybody. In a neutral, even-handed way, and so if that situation arises, we're here. Okay. And so in the meantime, Mr. Samuel, Mr. Garland, very good to see both of y'all. Do you have any other cases on the calendar?
Nothing else from the defense, Your Honor.
Okay, well, be safe. Hope to see both of you soon.
Okay. Thank
And before you, this case.
Judge, just want to point out, again, similar situation as well yesterday. The court declined to hear it, so kind of echo your ruling today, Judge.
Okay, okay. And Mr. Smith, if you don't have any other business on calendar, you're excused, but both sides are welcome to stay with us. It's an open courtroom.
I do believe I have a few more positions on the calendar, Judge, so I'll stick around.
Okay, we'll try to get you out of here as fast as we can. Mr. Kitchens, that's the order of the court. It's kind of a non-order. Everything needs to go in front of Judge Blandville. So good luck with everything. If you have any questions, please see Mr. Samuel.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Be safe.